So welcome to the official predictions video for Power Book 2 Ghost Season 2. We're going to look at some storylines, secrets, character returns, clues, theories, and some death predictions, and they are definitely going to be stepping things up this season, especially with what we've seen from the official trailer and the teasers and images that they've released so far, and I will be running through all of them in this video. But there's going to be a lot going on with Tariq. He's going to have a lot of trouble this season, but Season 2 isn't just going to be about Tariq and his dilemmas. There's some new characters such as Mecca, who's going to be trying to muscle his way into some sort of power in New York. We're going to learn about the Tejadas a lot more this season and their backstories as well. There's some returning characters such as Cristobal and Roberto according to IMDb. And later on in this video, I'm also going to be talking about potentially Ramona returning as well, because Rashad Tate, he's going to feature heavily this season, which I'm sure will be setting up his spin-off Influence, which is still in the works, and I'm sure we'll start to learn more about Rashad Tate's storyline as the season goes on. But we have a few ideas with where they could be taking his character, so we'll be running through Ramona and Rashad Tate when we get to his character later on in this video. So we're going to run through everything, not just Tariq and the Tejadas and Mecca. We're going to look at Brayden, Effie, Kane, the relationships between these characters, storylines and theories such as whether we could see Lorenzo being released from prison, and will this set up a war between Lorenzo and Mecca in the streets. And we all know we're going to see a hallucination scene of Kanan, but could we see a hallucination scene of Ghost as well? There's a lot we're going to run through, including some death predictions as well, and I will be making separate character breakdowns, going into even more detail into each of these characters, which I'll start sometime this week. So if you haven't done so already, then remember to have your notification bells turned on, and smash the like and the subscribe button if you haven't done so already. But let's get into all things Season 2 of Ghost, and I'm going to put the synopsis up for Season 2 for those who haven't seen it, but we are going to constantly refer back to this throughout this video. But let's start with my prediction of Lorenzo being released from prison, because it is something I spoke of during the Power Off season. Because for me, it does only make sense that he is released at some point in Season 2. He's been up to a series regular for this season, and in Season 1, I think they already started to put the wheels in motion for him to be released at some point in the future. When Kane and Monet got into their heated argument, Kane said that everything they have, what's being built, is Lorenzo's, and even though he's in prison, he can get out in 2 years. We've seen Kanan being released early, and most recently we even saw 2-Bit being released. If it serves a storyline, Power will definitely find a way, and I think they will, because we've all heard about the power struggle to come between Monet and Lorenzo, and him being released will only create further tension. He's described as a patriarch of the Tejada organization, and with there being a power struggle between Monet and Lorenzo, I expect them to come to blows at some point this season. It's already something that's been foreshadowed during the first season, with them having different ideas of how to run things, and after Tasha put it into Monet's mind that she's the boss, not Lorenzo, I think we're going to see a huge power struggle between Monet and Lorenzo as Monet starts to flex her independence a lot more and making more decisions which she wouldn't normally make. But this whole power struggle will be even more interesting because Mecca's going to be involved. He's the new guy in town, and he's heard that there's a power vacuum in New York that he wants to step into. He's someone that I'm definitely looking forward to seeing on Power Book 2 Ghost, because to be honest, we never really had a character that brought a fear factor to people in Season 1. There was of course the teaser that was released by Ghost Stars yesterday, where Kane questioned Mecca about his father, and he said that he's heard of Lorenzo but never met him, but somehow I don't think he's being completely truthful, because if he used to roll with Big Guap, then I'm sure he would have known that he was in prison and potentially have a history with Lorenzo as well, and I'm sure some secrets, they're definitely going to start to be revealed with Mecca's character, but he does have this presence of someone who's tough and strong. So hopefully he brings that fear factor and no nonsense element to his character, which I do think they're portraying with what they've shown us so far from the trailers and teasers, with him snapping Lil Guap's finger, which I wouldn't be surprised if it's in the very first episode. But he's going to be working with the Tejadas, and Kane especially, but more importantly, he's going to be in bed with Monet. And when this does happen, and when Lorenzo does find out, because I do think he will find out eventually, I think this is going to end in a war between Lorenzo and Mecca, which we'll get to in a moment. But I really wouldn't be surprised if Tariq was the one behind Lorenzo finding out about some of the secrets that Monet's been keeping from Lorenzo, because Tariq's going to find himself under Monet's thumb in Season 2. A small clip in a teaser has shown us how Monet warns Tariq, now you know I'm the one in control, and it seems like she's pulled a move to have more control over Tariq, whatever that may be. She may have even been the reason why Brayden was beat up, but as I said, I really wouldn't be surprised if Tariq is a part of the reason behind this Tejada split. But eventually, if Lorenzo is released from prison, what happens when he's out? Because Mecca seems like he's going to be running shit with Kane and the Tejadas, and that's not something he'll like. So Lorenzo will want to bring his family under some sort of control, but it's going to be difficult, and this is where we're going to see the conflict, because Mecca has his own ideas about the Tejada family, because he's got a vision for them beyond the family business. What they mean by beyond the family business, we're going to have to wait and see. But there's also Dru, who didn't exactly want to be in the game in Season 1, but he's someone who's going to change in Season 2. someone who isn't going to take shit from anyone, and him being shot at the end of season 1 will definitely play a factor. We saw him in the trailer, him throwing a big one on whoever this is. I feel he's going to be one character to definitely step up in the Tejada organization, even though Kane is back in and going to be doing business with the family again. But can she really trust him? This is where I think Dru will really step up this season, and he's just one kill away from turning into an absolute demon himself. At the moment he has Ev, and he gives him this false sense of life that he could potentially live away from the game, and something which Dru wants to chase. And it is kind of similar to what Ghost had with Angela, but what if that's taken away from him? What if we see Ev being caught in the crossfire and something happens to him? This would definitely be the catalyst for Dru's character to really turn into a demon. So Dru's change of character is definitely one to look out for in season 2. But coming back to this whole Lorenzo and Mecca and Monet situation, and this whole power struggle within the Tejadas, who would Dru side with? Who would Kane and Diana side with? It's definitely a question that will be answered at some point in season 2, and in my opinion the Tejada split is gearing up for a war between Lorenzo and Mecca at some point. But let's stick with the Tejadas and talk about Zeke, because he's someone who I do think is in danger this coming season. I definitely think he's gonna snitch, maybe not intentionally, but he's someone who won't be able to deal with the pressure, as we've all seen before. This is where Monet could potentially have a choice to make when it comes to Zeke, because so far we've seen her protecting Zeke at all costs. And even with the several images that we've seen so far, and the teasers, we've seen her protecting Zeke as she's done so in season 1. But I do feel Tariq, he's not going to be the only one with ethical dilemmas this season. I think Monet will as well. For example, if Zeke is at the point of snitching, then Monet really has a choice to make. Does she sacrifice Zeke for the greater good, for example for the rest of the Tejadas and their business? And Zeke is one of my death predictions for many reasons, like how I just spoke about him not being able to keep his mouth shut. But especially because whenever someone has something good going for them, it just never ends well. When have we ever seen a happy ending on power? It doesn't exist. Monet's tried hard to keep him away from the game because he's not someone who's built for it, and he's the Tejada's ticket out of the game. But last year I made this sort of connection video between Zeke and Sean in Power, how both of them play ball, and we can actually add D-Wiz into the category now as well, because he was also a promising young basketball player in Raising Kanan. But Sean and D-Wiz, they ended up dead. And I do feel the same could potentially happen with Zeke. Either he gets killed or he picks up a serious injury which completely finishes his basketball career. So he is one of my death predictions going into season 2. I also do want to say Carrie as well, but with Jabari being killed, killing another professor, is it really the smartest idea? I've spoken about it before, and I do think she's going to get close to finding out the truth herself, because I do think she's going to be carrying out her own investigation. She's going to be using her past experience as a prosecutor, but killing another professor at Stansfield would just bring major attention to Tariq and the Tejadas, as if they don't have enough attention already. So with that in mind, let's move on and talk about Jabari's death and Tariq and Kane's involvement in this whole situation. And I do think they're going to be keeping their roles in Jabari's death a secret. They seem to be working together on this because we've seen a few scenes with Kane and Tariq already, where Kane tells him that he's not going down for this. He also tells him that nobody's safe, not even Tariq. But Tariq tells Kane he's got this, he's got everything under control, and they're going to be keeping this a secret from Monet, because we hear Monet in the teaser telling who I think is Diana to go and find out who killed that professor. So Monet is going to be kept in the dark with this, and it's going to be Kane and Tariq's secret, for now anyway, because Jabari's body is going to be found, and so is Ramirez's body, which seems like it's this scene here, because if we were to take it back to this scene where Kane deals with his body, it definitely looks like it's the same place. He taped up Ramirez's body, and it definitely looks the same. So I think this is Ramirez's body, and this is where they could find Jabari's. And with them finding both, they'll definitely know it was the same gun that was used to kill both of them. So blaming Jabari's death on Ramirez definitely won't work in this situation if that's what their original plan was. This is why Tariq will be under fire from law enforcement, and why he's going to need the help of Cooper Sachs and Davis McLean. Tariq was the last person to contact Jabari. He sent him a text to meet him, and I'm sure he'll be questioned by the detectives about this. But do I think Tariq will eventually go down for the murder of Jabari? I don't think so. Do I think it could be one of the Tejadas that could take the rap? It's definitely possible. I think Tariq is going to have to sacrifice someone this season, especially with what we've read from the synopsis for season 2. This section, which I'm just going to highlight for you, where it says Tariq, he knows he must sacrifice anything to save what's left of his family, and Tariq must decide what he really wants and what he's going to sacrifice to get it. I think he'll be caught in a few dilemmas and ethical situations this season, from what's right and from what's wrong, and does the end justify the means? And I still think the murder weapon could play a huge role in this whole situation, because in my opinion, there is no way Tariq's got rid of it, especially because he's been taught by Tasha before, where they both used Tasha's gun to plant it on Kanan, to get rid of him and frame him for Ray Ray's death at the same time. So could we see something similar play out in season 2, with him planting the gun on someone? I think it's definitely possible. And staying with Tariq, let's talk about his love life and his double life, because he'll have more problems than just Jabari's death. Him having to live his double life, having his love life at the same time, is going to be problematic. He likes Lauren, he also likes Diana, and there's also Effie too, and we've all seen this where Diana and Effie throw their hands, which could be because Tariq was too busy with Diana to pick up Brayden's call, which is why we could see Brayden really taking a beating from someone, and as the season goes on, he'll definitely find it difficult to balance his double life and all his other problems that he has, such as Yaz going into foster care, the investigation of Jabari, him trying to pay Davis McLean, and I think Lauren, she's going to be another problem for Tariq, because I really think she's going to find out about Tariq's drug life this season. I don't think she's going to find out everything, but I do think some of Tariq's real ways will start to be revealed. And just like how Angela found out about Ghost, she eventually turned. So could we see something similar from Lauren where she turns? It's definitely going to be difficult because she's someone who stands by her principles, as we've seen through their canonical studies class. But what about Effie? She's going to be playing a major role in season 2 because she's been up to a season regular. In one of the teasers, she actually tells us that Tariq, he's always looking out for himself, and she's definitely not wrong. Tariq will always put himself first and put his family first. So Effie and Tariq working together is definitely going to be a bumpy ride. But Effie described herself as a monster in season 1. She also showed us this gun that she had, where she said Tariq doesn't need his because she'll protect him, and it does make me wonder whether she's pulled the trigger on someone before. She seems like a no-nonsense type of character, and you know she's not going to take shit from anyone, even Tariq. But still, she's a character who we know nothing about. Who's a connect? Where did she get a product from that she was selling at Choate? And where did she get a supply from that they sold in episode 8 of season 1? Who's a brother that was killed in a robbery gone wrong, and can she be trusted? That's the main question that we're going to center Effie's character breakdown on when we speak about her character later on this week in a bit more detail. But where there's Effie, there's Brayden too, because the three are going to be working together, Tariq, Effie and Brayden, and we're going to see Brayden involved in the streets a lot more this season in my opinion. We've already seen a few scenes where he's got a bruised face, so he'll be in a fight or two or he'll get jumped. Possibly this is even the lesson that Monet taught Tariq, where she told him now he knows that she's the one in control. But one thing I'm definitely looking forward to seeing is him working with Kane this season, especially with us seeing this scene in one of the teasers, and it was definitely foreshadowed in season 1 to be honest. You could tell that Kane took a liking to Brayden with the way he handled himself on the corners of Queens. But the question I want to ask with Brayden's character is, will he get his first kill? In the first season, we saw him and Trace, his brother, two complete opposites, and just like Zeke, he's not built for the game. He knows more than he should know already, and will he be able to keep it together? Could we see him being the snitch, and eventually him having to be taken out? Trace is another one of my death predictions going into season 2. But could we see Brayden take out his own brother? Like he said to Kane in episode 6, nobody gets to fuck him up but me. So could Kane force Brayden to fuck up Trace and take out his own brother? Whichever way they go with his character, I think Trace, he's also another dead man walking, and Brayden, he's definitely going to learn some harsh lessons and some consequences of the game this season. But let's move on and talk about Rashad Tate, because the Tate brothers, they're going to be back, and Rashad Tate, he's going to be involved as a series regular, and we all know what Rashad Tate is all about as a character. He's shady, he's cocky, and he always manages to win and land on his feet. He does people favors, but those favors aren't free. He always wants something in return. The way I think Rashad Tate could help Tariq, and why Tariq needs his help specifically, is because Yaz is going to be taken into foster care, and Tariq will need the help of someone like Tariq's stature according to the trailers and teasers, and that's because we've seen this before with his character, where he helped Dre get his daughter back with a bit of a push from Ghost, and I do think it's going to be a similar case for Tariq, but this isn't going to be free. I think Tate will ask Tariq to do something in return, because he knows what Tariq is capable of. It's a huge detail that we can't forget. Going into season 2, Rashad Tate knows that Tariq killed Ray Ray, and I really wouldn't be surprised if Tate asked Tariq to deal with someone for him. Like I said, Tariq is going to face many ethical dilemmas this season, and I can really see Rashad Tate taking advantage of knowing Tariq's secret, and as Kanan said in his hallucination scene, it's time to step up and make the man's move. And with Tariq seeing a hallucination of Kanan, I really would love to see them bring in Ghost back as well in a hallucination scene for Tariq, because the advice that Kanan would give Tariq would be the complete opposite of what Ghost would tell him. Ghost never approved of Tariq being in the game and told him he would rather kill him than teach him the game. Now Ghost did get what he wanted with Tariq going to Stansfield and school, but at the same time he didn't, because Tariq's still playing the game. So a Ghost hallucination scene really would be epic, and hopefully this is something we see. But just staying with Rashad Tate and his storyline, for those who remember, I made this video during the Power Off season and I spoke about a few characters who were still alive at the end of Power and have a chance of popping up. One of them was Ramona. If they do set up Tate's spin-off, then I really wouldn't be surprised to see Ramona making an appearance at some stage in season 2, and it really would be interesting to see if she did speak to Tariq and what she could say about Ghost if she did show. And not just Ramona, there are a few characters still alive that could randomly pop up at any time, such as Destiny. But with Tariq, he also has to deal with the issue of 2-Bit. He's not collected yet, and he'll definitely be back to collect, but what happens with 2-Bit's character? This is a video where I dive deeper on 2-Bit's role and what can happen with his storyline and character, so I'm going to link this down below for you guys, where I run through all things 2-Bit, Cristobal, and Roberto as well. And the same goes for Davis McLean, Cooper Sachs, and Theo Rollins. I made a separate video for this, where I do go through their character description and what we can expect. So 2-Bit and Theo Rollins videos will be down below in the description and in the comment section. But there we have it. A long predictions video for season 2, but there was definitely a lot that we needed to dive deep on, and we're going to break down so much more still over the week, where I'll be doing character breakdowns for our main characters. But if you stuck around till the end of this video, then thank you guys so much. Drop your predictions down below for season 2, because it is definitely going to be a big season. We have Kanan returning in a hallucination scene, Tariq will probably have to smoke someone, and hopefully we actually see Lorenzo and Tariq meeting as well. And then we'll really find out if Lorenzo really knows anything about Ghost and Tommy. But that's it for this one. Drop all your thoughts and predictions down below for season 2 of Ghost. And of course, if you're new to the channel and you haven't done so already, then remember to smash the subscribe button if you want to see everything Power Book 2 Ghost and Power Universe related. But as always, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.